Hey guys, and welcome back to SGR Discussions. In this week's episode, I want to talk about the toys again. Now, if you want to hear about the discussion we had the week before, check out the card. Last week we talked about why there were so many Mighty Morphin Power Ranger Megazords. And we had some really good discussions. This week I want to talk about American toys versus Japanese toys. Now, up through Mystic Force, I want to say. Yeah, it was Mystic Force. We had the exact same toy line. But after that, our toys started getting smaller. We started getting less features, less paint details. And overall, it wasn't an enjoyable product for collectors. Now, it did still sell really well. I mean, if you look around my house, you'll still see I've got American versions of the same toys. But why is that? Why were they apt to change our toys from the Japanese market? Well, one, it's cheaper if you have your own mold, to be honest. Two, through test markets, like we talked about last week. If you don't know what test markets are, check out the last video. They realized that they could sell a similar product that still looked like that and still had most of the main functions for a cheaper price to American audiences. And we would eat it up. I mean, we even sell Zords to kids that do not have any other function but stand there like a giant action figure. However, I remember right after Mystic Force, a couple of seasons in, I started slowing down on my American purchases. I'd see what season was coming out, something like that, and I would go online and I'd find the Japanese counterpart of that toy. And I'd pick it up. Why? Because I knew I was going to get a superior product. I knew I was going to have a better experience. I knew the plastic quality was going to be better. I knew the paint details were going to be better. I mean, we can all remember the fiasco that was Zord Builder, right? Having core functionality removed from some of these legacy line toys that we were so excited to receive, just for them to be, look, for you to do this, you have to unhook this and unhook that and put these back together right here, when this easily could have been redone with a hinge and made it feel more like the show. So, on that aspect, is it kind of our fault? I don't think so, because we're not in the hot seat making those decisions. But in a way, we kept buying them. Now, I will give this to Bandai of America when they learned that they still had a collector market they needed to make happy. They brought the Samurai Megazord back over as a re-release, and we got our own specialty box art and all kinds of cool gimmicks with it. But we actually got a Japanese toy for the first time in a long time that was distributed to American audiences. And honestly, that kind of paved the way to the Solo Jogoken being released here in the States. Because now the Solo Jogoken line isn't a Power Ranger line. It's a Robo Toy line. But if you notice, the only releases we've really got that hit the mainstream news were the Mighty Morphin versions of it. But at the end of the day, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like we were slighted in the Bandai era when the toys were starting to drop away? I kind of feel like I do. I mean, we were getting at that point now where the children were still getting the toys, but it was the collectors keeping them afloat. And we were asking for things but not receiving. I mean, if you look at any of my reviews for roleplay items, especially the Super Mega Force ones, where the Mobirates is a far superior toy than the Super Mega Force Morpher. Now, it's a great toy, but if you're going to choose to play with a Mobirate or a Super Mega Force, we all know you're going to go for the Mobirate. If you're going to play with a Samurai Megazord, are you going to play with the one that just has Zord function and Megazord function? Or do you like tinkering around and being able to make the little origami symbols as well? I know I do. Now, I understand that money's always going to be a factor when these companies make the decision, right? But if we take a look at what Hasbro's done so far, and they've played it right. Now, they're never going to be able to get the exact same molds that Japan has. Why? Because Hasbro is a completely different company than Bandai. And Bandai is not going to want to sell these molds to them. But Hasbro, even with building their own toy from scratch, kept all of the core functionality, all of the key abilities to these toys working, and they have comparable painting and details. And if you go back and you look at my Dino Fury versus Ryu Soldier, you can see it was superficial choices that just appealed to my eye that made me choose my Japanese versions over my American versions. But the American versions are still absolutely fantastic. Even though we don't have giant, awesome folding Ranger keys like Japan does, we have more mobility in our toy than the Japanese one, which was a first. Hasbro thought about the collector and the person that would love to pose this thing more than its parent company with the original IP. So, now I'm going to open the discussion to you guys in the comments down below. Hasbro has picked it up, turned it back into a ball, and is shooting from the 3-point line and sinking it right now. And Bandai Japan is still doing really good too. So whether you're a pure American toy line fan, or you're a pure Japanese toy line fan, or you're like me, a combination of both, I think we all have some really good days ahead. I look forward to your discussions in the comments section down below. As always, I want to thank you for all the support. And if you could throw me a like or a dislike, I'll take it either way because I love the feedback. Also, if you've not subscribed, hit that subscription button. It helps me get seen and continue to push out content. Also, make sure you hit the little notification bell right there. I know it only takes a second, but it'll let you know when I post a video before anyone else. And that way you get the discussion first. Thank you guys again for all the love, all the support. I'll see you in the next video. May the power protect you. Peace.